More time for the city. Why a multi-million-dollar piece of San Diego's convention center plan is being pushed back. And a local environmental group comes out against one of the proposals for the Mission Valley Stadium site.
I know it becomes kind of a cry wolf that it's going to be the worst fire season, and we are actually seeing that right now with the fires that we have.
KPBS talks with San Diego's new fire chief about California's record-breaking fires and how local firefighters are being challenged.
I think it's going to impact about 20,000 students this fall with a savings of, I think it's close to $2 million.
And the textbook program at San Diego State University that's helping students save money on their education. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Today was supposed to be the deadline for the city of San Diego to make a multi-million-dollar payment for a convention center expansion. But as KPBS's Matt Hoffman tells us, the land deal that was in jeopardy could still be saved.
Today was the last day the city of San Diego had to transfer $5 million to secure land near the existing convention center. The city would send the money to the Port of San Diego, who would then give it to land leasehold owner Fifth Avenue Landing. But now all parties are agreeing to push that deadline back to September. The city of San Diego is waiting to see if a citizens' initiative that failed to qualify for this November's ballot will qualify for a future ballot. Yes for a Better San Diego promised to raise the hotel tax to raise money for a convention center expansion, homeless aid, and road repairs. That initiative is currently undergoing a signature review process. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer says he's glad the land deal is still in place.
Why? Because this project is so important. You know, to modernize and expand our convention center, the 7,000 jobs that entails, to have a dedicated funding source for homelessness and street repair. That's why I'm so pleased to see not only the FAL and the port, but they did the right thing. This issue is not going away. It's too important for San Diegans.
Signature verification for that citizens' initiative is expected to be finished by late September. That's when we'll know if it qualifies for the 2020 ballot. Now, Mayor Faulconer did say it would be possible to call a special election next year, but it would require council approval. The new deadline for this land deal set to move forward is now September 25th. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The San Diego River Park Foundation is speaking out against the SoccerCity measure on the November ballot. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson has details and reaction from SoccerCity backers.
The nonprofit agency has been fighting for years to preserve land along the San Diego River. But the group's board is taking a stand against the FS investor-backed SoccerCity measure. Now, the board said it wanted to see more community-based land use planning along the river. The panel also said the SoccerCity initiative does not include a lengthy binding commitment for a 60-acre park for the public and nature, despite numerous assurances from FS investors. SDSU West's principal backer, Jack McGrory, sits on the panel, and so does Thomas Sudbury, one of the principal people funding the 2-year-old No on SoccerCity effort. SoccerCity's Nick Stone says they probably should not have voted.
Having people who spend millions and millions of dollars to oppose SoccerCity and avoid competition sit on the body determining the park, particularly when that same group of people are the people who have failed for the last 3 decades to build anywhere near enough parks for the Mission Valley community, feels like a real conflict that should somehow have been resolved by that group before they got to this position.
Now, the board will consider whether to endorse or oppose the SDSU West plan next month. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
A major fire that burned for more than a month near Yosemite is finally contained. The U.S. Forest Service announced full containment of the Ferguson fire on Sunday. 2 firefighters died and nearly 100,000 acres burned. Part of Yosemite National Park was closed for 3 weeks due to heavy smoke in the area. The closure cost local businesses millions of dollars during one of the busiest times of year. A multi-million-dollar makeover for Fire Station Number 5, serving San Diego's Hillcrest neighborhood and surrounding areas. This new modern station replaces one built back in 1951. This marks San Diego's 4th new fire station to open this year. Last year, the Independent Budget Analyst Office determined San Diego would need to invest $91 million into new fire stations to meet the city's safety needs. San Diego's new fire chief has been on the job for 1 week. He recently sat down with KPBS reporter Jade Hyman to talk about his vision for the department and preparing for San Diego's fire season.
Chief Stoll, thanks so much for joining us here
thing.
today. You're new, so tell me, what's your vision and hope for the fire department?
Well, my vision for the fire department, I was with San Diego Fire for just over 28 years. I left for a short, almost 2 years to be a fire chief somewhere else. I just got to come back home, back to the San Diego Fire Rescue and work with the dedicated men and women of this department. My vision for the department is really to hopefully continue the support from the city leaders and from our elected officials to provide the resources, the training, the infrastructure that we need to protect the city. Certainly staffing is a big goal of mine, and a vision to have a fully staffed, diverse workforce. And then really lastly is to just continue being members in this community, to be partners in our community, to provide the protection that they need, but really it's a partnership with us and the community, so being part of the community.
And you mentioned getting the staffing up. Where's the staffing at right now?
Well, we are short in staffing right now, and it fluctuates so much based on deployments, strike teams, fire activity, retirements, and so it's a moving target for us to keep on track for sure. But also retention is one of our big goals here, and we're constantly trying to maintain the workforce that we have and retain them here. There's competition all throughout the state and throughout the country for firefighters and for that skill. And so we want to make sure we attract the best and we retain the best as well.
And you'd have to do that by being competitive, no doubt.
We do, absolutely. And I really feel like a big part of that as well is job satisfaction. And if they're happy working for the city of San Diego and the services that we provide and the gratification that they take when they go home every day from going home from work, then that'll keep people around as well.
So what do you anticipate for this upcoming fire season? We're not even there yet. We've got brush fires everywhere. What do you think?
I know. We say it every year. I know it becomes kind of a cry wolf that it's going to be the worst fire season, and we are actually seeing that right now with the fires that we have. And when you've got one complex fire alone that's over 350,000 acres, and we're not even into our peak, we're not even into our Santa Ana season, it's a struggle. There's a lot of preparation that goes into getting ready for fire season. Our members train even before the fire season in what we call a wildland refresher training, where they kind of hone in on their skills again and go through some training, communications, do the wildland drills that we like them to do. And then it's our time as management to also make sure that the agreements are in place with our partners around the county as well as through the state for cost sharing reimbursement sides, mutual aid agreements as well, and just making sure that we're all on the same page and being able to help each other.
So we always hear about these brush fires, and they often happen out in the back country. What's the risk for an urban brush fire?
Well, we certainly have it in San Diego, and it's what we call a wildland urban interface, and that's anytime you have homes or structures that butt up against canyons or brush area. It's certainly a risk for all of us, and we know that living here in the city of San Diego. Again, this is a partnership with them. We have over 45,000 homes that sit on canyon rims that butt up against brush. To be able to monitor that, track that, and mitigate those risks, just leaving that responsibility to the fire department or the park and recs is just a daunting task. We need the community to assist and step up and take some of that responsibility of clearing those defensible spaces behind their homes.
And switching gears from brush fires to structure fires, I know that fire suppression systems can sort of be a defense and save property and life. Talk to me about some of the older buildings in the city of San Diego. Are they up to the same standard as some of the newer construction in terms of fire suppression systems?
Well, they certainly are not up to the same standards because they were not built under the same codes. Some of the life safety codes are still in place, and we certainly enforce those. The fire codes that fall under the newer construction, as you know, are just, along with technology, are just a robust and very detailed codes that allow the residents of those buildings to certainly feel much safer. The older buildings are catching up to those, and the owners are aware of those issues. And we certainly inspect those buildings every year, and we work with those owners to mitigate any of those code violations that we find.
All right. And stepping into this position, is there anything else you'd like to say or add?
You know, I'm happy to be back home with the fire department that I grew up with the men and women that make up this department, and I've been thrilled and excited to return, and it's truly a blessing. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Jade.
Appreciate it.
Chief Stoll has had a long local firefighting career. He served San Diego Fire and Rescue for 28 years, and in 2016, he was named Chief of Heartland Fire and Rescue. A bill that would require special LGBT training for law enforcement is advancing in the state Senate. The bill requires law enforcement agencies to include training for how to respond to hate crimes against members of the LGBT community. There would also be education on special terminology for gender identity and historical periods relevant to the LGBT rights. The bill has been approved by the Senate Public Safety Committee. As the Trump administration tries to reunite hundreds of immigrant children still separated from their parents, the president is praising the work of ICE. President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence hosted a special event today at the White House. The president suggested supporters would vote to support his border policies in the November election. He also criticized protests around the issue. Here's some of what the president had to say.
Everyone here today understands a vital truth that America is a land of opportunity because we are a nation of laws. For America to be a strong nation, we must have strong borders. In major cities across the nation, these open border radicals have blocked access to ICE buildings, to face public property, and threatened public safety. And what you hear in the newspapers and on the news is nothing compared to the way it really is. And we're stopping it very, very strongly. We will protect those who protect us. The extremists who attack ICE and CBC like to portray themselves as champions of social justice. They are not. But their radical policies are the ultimate injustice, hurting innocent Americans and spilling innocent blood. People are dying because of their either lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, or just plain stupidity.
A lawsuit over the census and citizenship will move forward. A federal judge has denied a Trump administration request to dismiss a case brought by the state of California. The state is challenging a plan to ask a question about citizenship. Leaders in California and other states say the question could discourage participation. The census determines major issues like federal funding and representation in Congress. Some San Diego State University students may actually spend less this back-to-school season. KPBS education reporter Megan Burke says a new program is curbing the cost of textbooks.
The university is making a pilot program called Immediate Access official this year. In it, students can access ebooks for free the moment they enroll in a class. If they decide to stay in the class, they can then pay a reduced fee to continue using the textbook online. Many of them do, and that's allowed the university to negotiate special pricing.
When this first started, it was about 89 or 90% of the students opted in, and I think now we're up to about 94 to 96% of the students are opting in. So when publishers are guaranteed that they're going to sell to that level in the 90s instead of 40s, they're willing to negotiate the price down.
By about 20%. This year, some 300 classes are offering the program.
I think it's going to impact about 20,000 students this fall with a savings of I think it's close to $2 million in terms of relative to what they would have paid if they purchased a physical, full-cost textbook.
More and more professors are also turning to open source textbooks with free licensing, bringing the cost down to zero. U.S. college graduates owe, on average, $35,000 in student loans. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
KPBS is a service of San Diego State University. San Diego Unified begins a new school year next week. AP reporter Carrie Antelfinger shows us how the makers of traditional school supplies are trying to compete with high-tech gadgets for back-to-school shoppers.
The back-to-school aisle is smelling.
Markers to sharpen.
Dude, that is awesome.
And looking a little different this year.
Yeah, we're seeing a really fun year in back to school. Over 25% of our items are new this year.
Some of the hot items include unusually scented markers and pencils.
Cotton candy, coconut, fresh air.
Creative journals, glitter glue, decorative tape, and ink that disappears with heat. And move-over unicorns, llamas are popping up everywhere.
Well, a lot of kids are buying new specialty items, A, to express themselves and to make sure that they're able to show who they are, and B, there's a novelty factor. If you've got something new, some gadget, etc., it's fun to show your friends.
Angie Miller estimates she'll spend $300 on required school supplies and another $150 for specialty items for her 3 kids.
I'd rather have my kid drawing than playing on an iPad or painting or being creative, so that's another reason I don't mind spending the extra money.
Companies are counting on parents like Miller, which is why they're raising their game to compete with gadgets like iPads and online retailers who may be perceived to have more unique items.
It's the second biggest shopping season of the year. It's $27 billion, roughly, 27.6 actually this year is what we estimate they're being spent. And so a lot of companies need to double down and really gain those shoppers at this time of the year.
Overall, stores expect a healthy back-to-school shopping season, fueled by a strong economy and high consumer confidence. According to Deloitte Services, average spending per household is expected to rise slightly to $510, compared to last year's $501. One of the more higher-tech items you can buy with that money is a Rocketbook Wave notebook, where you can send the contents to the cloud, and then disappearing ink allows you to zap it clean in the microwave. But 12-year-old Kaya Miller prefers her new bullet journal, where short phrases are used in the style of bullet points.
And then I have reasons why I love myself for like self-esteem, a must-read list, my dream, like when I'm older.
There's also a practical side to the new school supplies.
Sometimes there's a bad smell in the classroom, and if you can just smell those.
Some helpful tools to make going back to school a little sweeter.
Smells like a snow cone.
Carrie Antelfinger, Associated Press.
Warmer than usual temperatures will last throughout the week. Erin Calandra has details in tonight's forecast.
Happy Monday to you. I hope your work week got off to a great start. Taking a look at what's going on the satellite radar. Well, not much. It's pretty quiet across San Diego County, but it's not going to stay that way. Those interior areas, the deserts and the mountains, you're going to see a couple of showers and storms popping up as early as tomorrow. So for tonight, it's quiet. Borrego Springs 79, Mount Laguna at 62. San Diego still running warm for our overnights at 72 degrees. Our highs are around 75, 76 for this time of year, so 72 is awfully close to that. It's going to be humid too, so it's going to feel a bit sticky out there. Hot in the deserts tomorrow. We have this nice cool breeze coming off of the coast, so that's going to keep the beach communities looking a-okay. It's going to be very nice. Oceanside 81 tomorrow. San Diego also at 81. Again, that's above average, but pretty pleasant. Chula Vista 79 degrees. And then the deserts, it's going to be hot, 105 with showers, perhaps a storm. Mount Laguna at 78 degrees. Now here we are midweek. Expect to see pretty dry conditions all in all. Monsoon moisture is going to get pushed off to the east, so we'll see fewer showers and storms across the deserts. Now along the coast, very comfortable cruising right around 81 to 80 degrees all week with some sun, a couple of clouds. Inland, we're going to be in those upper 80s. Until Friday, we drop down to 85. That's going to be a beautiful weekend for everyone with lots of sunshine. In the mountains, again, could see a stray shower or storm tomorrow, but then drier the rest of the week and pleasant with temperatures in the upper 70s. And in the deserts, again, shower, perhaps a storm on Tuesday. It's going to be hot, as it always is, at 105. And then 106 by Wednesday, staying sunny and dropping just a couple of degrees by the weekend. 103 for the high. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra. Ebony, back to you.
Balboa Park and the Spreckles Organ Society hosts a silent movie night this evening. KPBS film critic Beth Accomando says you won't want to miss it.
Tonight at the Spreckles Organ Pavilion in Balboa Park, you have the rare treat of seeing a silent film as it was meant to be seen, with live music. Organist Stephen Ball takes the stage for a screening of Harold Lloyd's 1923 comedy classic, Safety Last. The famous stunt of Lloyd hanging off a clock tower inspired a scene in Jackie Chan's 1983 Hong Kong action film, Project A. Enjoy the iconic Safety Last from one of the greatest physical comedians of all time. And it's free. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Silent Movie Night is part of the Summer Organ Festival, which runs through September 3rd at Balboa Park. The weekend box office was dominated by Crazy Rich Asians. The film is being received as a culturally important moment in Hollywood. It's the first from a major American studio to have an all-Asian cast in 25 years. The film earned $26 million over the weekend.
I think that the rom-com just needed a fresh take. I think that studios need to understand that audiences are demanding new perspectives on stories, on fairy tales that maybe have existed in the past, but with a different perspective, you get some fresh things that can shake it up a bit. So, and I think you get some great discoveries of talent that you have never seen or have been exposed to, and they get to do things they don't get to do in other projects. So that is what I'm really excited for people to see.
Crazy Rich Asians is also part of a comeback story for its genre. Not a single major studio released a romantic comedy during last year's summer movie season. Tomorrow night, PBS will pay tribute to legendary comedian and actress Betty White. The new documentary was filmed over a 10-year period. Here's a portion of Betty White, First Lady of Television.
It was a variety show, and I would sing some songs, and we'd interview people. We had a live band, Frank Duvall and his orchestra. We would do live commercials. It was before tape. You didn't have anything you could cut away to a commercial. You were on, and you were doing the commercials.
And just 2 tablespoons, just this little bit, contains twice the iron in a pound of calf's liver.
I thought she was a great talent, being able to deliver a commercial, to sing, and to do interviews and whatnot. She was just magnificent. And she believed everything she said and did on the show.
I had this wonderful dancer, Arthur Duncan.
Arthur, did you have a nice weekend?
Sure did. I did something a little different. I rehearsed with a choral group that's going to do Christmas carols this Christmas.
Oh, wonderful. You going around from house to house, or?
I think their plan is to go to hospitals and orphanages and things of that nature.
Well, that's a wonderful thing to do for Christmas season, Arthur.
The first TV show I'd ever been on, and I credit Betty White for really getting me started in show business, in television.
Arthur's all set for his number today. This is a fine number for him to do when he was rehearsing Christmas carols all day yesterday. Arthur Duncan and Sing You Sinners.
Sing you sinners, sing. Sing you sinners, sing, sing, sing. Sinners, drop everything and let the harmony ring up to heaven. Sing, sing you sinners.
Well, by now we were national, and we were all over the country, and all through the South, there was this whole ruckus. They were going to take our show off the air if we didn't get rid of Arthur because he was black.
Whenever there's music, the devil kicks in.
People in the South, some of them resented me being on the show and wanted me thrown out. And it was never a question at all.
Evidently through the South at that point, it was a very heavy. So I said, I'm sorry, but, you know, he stays or live with it.
You know that things are right when you say, you sinners say.
Betty White, First Lady of Television, airs at 8 o'clock tomorrow night on KPBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, what it means that the White House counsel has been cooperating with the Mueller investigation. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Now, here's a look at what we are working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, protesters in Uganda demanding the release of opposition lawmaker Bobi Wine. We'll profile the pop star turned politician, Uganda, Bobi Wine profile. And on Midday Edition, Gross Anatomy, dispatches from the front and back. The new book that looks at why we have smells, bumps, and leaky bits as part of the human body. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.